Are you worried about travelling this summer for your holiday and arriving at the airport and there being chaos at passport control? Well, across Europe and since Brexit, there are many holiday destination airports that are just not ready for 2025. Now, if you listen to the mainstream media, you will be dreading your holiday and stressed out. Now, there will be delays, but let's break it down. Why are the delays? Why is this happening? And I'm going to give you some tips on how you can speed up passport control just a little bit. So why is this happening? Since Brexit, UK citizens are classed as third country nationals. This means that your passport needs to get stamped, and this is one of the main delays at the airport. There are a number of different issues. One major problem is staffing, with there not being enough police allocated to the airports to do the actual stamping. Now, you know the world is turning into a machine AI world, and the EU have introduced an EES system, an entry and exit system, that is all computerized, all singing, all dancing. It looks the part, but I tell you what, at the moment, it's not fit for purpose. These systems essentially record your data, who you are, where you're traveling, why you're traveling, fingerprints and biometric data that is stored on your passport. Now, these EES systems are certainly not ready. They're supposed to be there to eliminate the stamping of the passport. But at the moment, you have to do both things. They should have been in place by now, but the deadline has been moved to October 2025, which means summer 2025 could be an absolute nightmare at the airport. So who's to blame? Well, the government will blame you and say that tourism in destinations is saturated. Can you see the narrative now? The media will just have you worrying and panicking, but essentially the Spanish government have not put enough resources in for the police to be there to stamp the passports. The EU, well, they haven't organised the EES system properly. It's not working, and I arrived in Lanzarote airport just this week and there are lines and lines of machines there that are just not being used, and it's been almost a year and a half that they've been sat there gathering dust. You've got to also look at the infrastructure of the airports, especially some of these smaller airports. They're going to need massive extensions in order to house these machines, and just how is it going to work? Again, machines are taking over the world. Are they a good thing, or should we go back to basics? Now, I made some observations on a recent travel watching people trying to put their passports into these machines. I mean, the machines probably work, but it's human beings that just don't get it. We're not all technical, I understand that. So here's a couple of my top tips to get you through passport control a little bit quicker and to save the backlog. You might only cut a few minutes off, but a few minutes from each person could make the difference. Like all these machines, there's always a couple of humans bobbing around making sure you're scanning things properly in the supermarket, and of course checking you out if you buy a bottle of wine and make sure you're over 18. I mean, the need for machines to have a human being to monitor them, it just seems pointless to me. Just have a human being. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. But here is what I observed at the Lanzarote airport this week. First of all, have everything organised and ready. Have your passport open to the page that it's needed to be opened to. That's the one with the photo. Now, there is full instructions and videos showing you what to do. What I noticed was that people were placing their passports in, staring at the screen and waiting for the photo to be taken. Now, there is a diagram that shows your hand going on top. So make sure when you put the passport in the machine, you put your hand right inside and you press down on the glass so that it can read it properly. I saw a lot of members of staff there coming around and bending your passport to make sure it's straight. So make sure to put your hand right on top of it. That seemed to work for me because the three people in front of me were just messing around and looking completely lost, holding their passport like that and staring at the screen. If you haven't been through one of these machines before, well, this is how they work. You put your passport on, it scans your passport and it takes a photo of you. Now, it does take quite a bit of time because I noticed there were two guys checking each camera as well. Again, what's the point in having these machines if we're going to have humans checking them? Get a few people that are going to check your passport, look at the picture and stamp it, and you're on your way. These machines are causing nothing but chaos. I don't see how they're going to benefit anything other than controlling where we go and what we do. Anyway, don't have your sunglasses on. That was another thing I saw. Some people with their sunglasses on. Take your glasses off. Don't have them on top of your head. Just literally put your hand down and stare at the bloody screen so it can take your picture. Once you're through there, this is where a second queue comes, and this is where you have to wait for the police to stamp your passport. So essentially, you're queuing twice so you can see where the problems are and where the backlog is coming from. The whole thing is just disorganized and, in my opinion, just an absolute waste of everybody's time. Anyway, don't let this upset your holiday plans. Just be aware of it. I think sometimes if we're aware of what's happening and we expect it, we're not going to get as stressed out and flustered because we've mentally prepared to wait. Another top tip is to book early flights. Now, in the summer, flights are going to be coming into airports at all different times, but the earlier the flight, the less backlog there will be. So if you don't mind getting up at 2, 3 in the morning to get a Ryanair flight at 6 in the morning, that is probably the best way to do it. That way, you're going to be one of the first planes to arrive. The other option is a later flight as well, towards the end of the day, because of course, everything's sort of closing down and you should get through a little bit quicker. If you're looking at flight times and your flight is landing in the afternoon, I think you could be in for a little bit of a wait. The other thing to do is research what the busiest arrival day is in your destination. A simple Google search should be able to tell you which days are most busy at the airport. Try and plan your flights and your holidays when you're landing on days that are not that busy. That way you're eliminating some of the chaos at the airport. For me, landing early is always the best option. I think you get an extra day's holiday. What do you prefer? Landing early and getting up at stupid o'clock, traveling at a decent time and arriving at a decent time, or traveling through the night and having a little kip on the plane? Let me know. So I hope that sheds some light on why this is happening and you get your passport ready and get yourself on holiday. Yes, you might have a bit of a wait at passport control, but once you're there and once you're settled in, well, you should be rocking and rolling, and all that stress will be forgotten about once you have a sip of your first cocktail. Don't listen to the mainstream media. They're just looking for clicky headlines and to scare you to death. That is what they're there for, and that is what they're good at. So let me know in the comments, where are you traveling this summer for your holidays? Let me know if you've experienced any huge delays at the airports, and don't listen to the mainstream media. They're there to scare you. They're there to get clicky headlines. Follow this channel for everything travel news. I'll try and bring it to you real, and I'll try and tell you exactly what's going on. I'll see you in the next video. Be excited for summer 2025 and keep on traveling on. See you later.